Hey guys, Grant here. I want to tell you all about my friends at Black Bear Inn and Suites of Gatlinburg who are making it possible to bring this episode to you. As you guys know, I grew up in East Tennessee, and there are two things that all East Tennesseans have in common. We all love the Vols, and we all love the Smoky Mountains. Since I've moved to Nashville, I've been unable to get my Smoky Mountain fix in, but thankfully, our friends at Black Bear Inn and Suites of downtown Gatlinburg have me covered. They are conveniently located at 1100 Parkway and are within walking distance of all the major attractions and best food that downtown Gatlinburg has to offer. To book your Smoky Mountain getaway today, visit blackbeargatlinburg.com or call 865 436 5656 or toll free at 1 800 933 0777.
Welcome to this edition of the Volin' Out Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my co-host, Grant. How you doing today, buddy?
Man, Jordan, it's a great day. Tennessee beat the Cats on Saturday, and I am just happy to break it down for everybody who wants to listen to what I got to say. How are you doing, brother?
Oh, buddy, I'm fantastic. I am fantastic. It's always a good day when the Vols beat the Cats.
Man, ain't that the truth? It don't matter the sport. It's always a great day.
Man, that's a fact. Man, we're gonna jump into this recap of the Vols in Kentucky. We're gonna put somebody on the milk carton, do player of the game, play some start bench cut, look ahead to LSU, all that good stuff. You ready to run it?
Man, let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm going to start off the show a little bit differently than I typically do, guys. As a lot of you guys know, I was in attendance at Rupp Arena on Saturday night, and I just want to thank Kentucky fans for being a great host. I did not expect what I got, honestly. I expected there to be a lot of, trash talk and people to try to make me miserable. But man, I mean, everybody was so nice and welcoming, got lots of welcomes to Kentucky while walking around wearing this around town. Lots of people giving me fist bumps, just really good people to be around, which has not been the experience I've had with Kentucky fans inside of TBA. So good, just thumbs up to you guys. I mean, I really appreciate it as a visiting fan, and to the rest of All Nation and to you, Jordan, and everybody else. Take the trip up there if you want to. It's a special venue. It's a beautiful venue. And the fans were more than accommodating and very, very great host.
Man, that's awesome to hear. Kind of like what our buddy Jay from Religiously Kentucky was saying the other night. That's kind of what he told you to expect. He said you'd love it, and it sounds like you did, man.
Man, it's my favorite place I've ever been to a game at. I'll say that. Just beautiful venue, right in the middle of downtown Lexington too, man. So there were a ton of bars right there. It's the benefit of it not being on campus, but at the same time, you lose that campus feel to it.
Right. That makes sense.
Man, but it was a great thing right there. I ended up sending Jay a message on Sunday morning and just was like, hey, bro, tell everybody they were really nice, because they really were. But man, like I said, it was great to be in attendance for that. And, Tennessee did some special stuff on Saturday night, man.
Dude, they did, man. They come out hot as a firecracker, son.
Well, they did, man. I mean, Rick Barnes has really kind of just turned into the cat killer, man. I mean, I've kind of given him that name now, but you look at what he's done since he's been in Knoxville: 7-1 versus top 10 Kentucky teams, 7-2 when both teams are ranked, 4-1 when both teams are ranked in the top 10. Rick Barnes also has 4 all-time wins in Rupp, where the University of Tennessee has 8 all-time wins. 4 of those have came from Rick Barnes.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy to think about, man.
It really is, man. I mean, because, Tennessee's beat Kentucky more times than anybody else in the SEC. And Rick owns a lot of those.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy, man, to think about this too. That Tennessee basketball has such a rich history, but since Rupp Arena opened, there's not been a lot of teams who have came in and been able to beat them in there that have came from the 8-6-5, and Rick has really turned that around. I mean, think about it this way, man. Rick has been in Knoxville for 9 years, and he has 4 wins in Kentucky. So, I mean, half the time he's going up there, he's getting a dub, man.
I'll take that.
I will too. And then another nugget from this game right here too, man. The Vols became the first SEC team to score 100 plus on Kentucky and Rupp since 1993.
That's goodness gracious. That's 30 years, son.
I know, man. That's before I was born. I mean, let's talk about that. Like, it's been that long since this has been able to happen, and it's done that. But like for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, if you're not, we're trying out something new today. We've got some graphics on the screens. Jump over to YouTube and see what we got right here. I think it's going to be really great for the viewers on there. But since Ricketts came to Knoxville, he's won at Rupp 4 times: 2018, 2020, 21, and 24. There
Man.
are 4 players who have won 3 games in Rupp at Tennessee. Can you name those 4 players?
Santi, Josiah Jordan James,
Mm-hmm.
and Zakai.
Nope.
That's got to be 3 of them.
Nope. Not
No?
Sakai.
Let's see here. I know I've got 2. Who are the other 2?
John Fulkerson and Eve Pons. They have the
Wow.
record for most wins by a Vol in Rupp Arena. And man, what was really nice about this too was Josiah Jordan James really came back out on Saturday night and played probably the best ball he's ever played in his whole career, honestly.
Easily, dude. Well, for this year, yes, I would argue maybe the better game that he's had was Duke last year.
Yeah, he did play a good game against Duke, but this was his career high in points. He had 26 points, man. Played 31 minutes, 9 of 18 from the field. Also had 5 boards and 1 assist and 2 steals. I mean, guy just balled out. And then Zakai, man, another guy to kind of talk about on this, 26 points as well in 33 minutes, 8 of 11 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, 7 of 10 from the line, 13 assists, 2 turnovers.
That's an impressive. That's a 6-to-1 ratio right there, assist to turnover.
Man, it's like I played the best game he's ever played too at Tennessee.
Yeah. Now that, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And we need it with it. Tennessee needed it. They needed it because I'll give hats off to Kentucky. They done great making Connect kind of a, I don't want to say non-factor, but I mean that's first game and how long he's not scored 30 plus.
Since let's see, he's had 25 plus in every single game dating back to the Mississippi State game.
So it's
It's been a
they
month.
played him well.
It's been a month. I mean, let's just think about it that way, man. Kind of diving into full team stats on what the teams were able to do today. Not today, on Saturday. The Volunteers shot 48.6% from the field, 40% from 3, and 73.1% from the line. That 40% from 3, man, I mean, 12 of 30 from the 3-point line. If you're able to hit that, man, you're going to win a hell of a lot of basketball games.
Man, they started 4 for 5 from there.
Man,
Like,
and it's so funny. All the people behind me and around me, they were getting so loud before the game started, and then you could hear a pin drop in that place if it wasn't for me yelling.
I guarantee it.
It was funny. Kentucky, man, they shot. I mean, both teams shot really well from the field. It was a great offensive game. 49.3% for the field from the Cats, 44.4 from the 3-point line, but hitting your free throws, man, comes back to bite you in the ass every single time. 63.2% for the Cats. And that did result in the 11-point loss. The over-under and the spread on this game, man, kind of something interesting. I even went on here and said I thought it would be a much closer game than what it turned out to be. The spread on this was 1.5 in Kentucky's favor, and the over-under was 158.5.
Blown out of both of those. I want not the spread necessarily, but the over-under got smoked.
It did, man. And like the over-under, I even told you too, I'm like, there's no way this over doesn't just get decimated.
Right. But you know what? I want to say this. Old Jordan, that bold prediction, son, 10 plus.
Give you that right there. Give you that right there, man. It was fun, man. I mean, you think about what Tennessee did in this game, and you did something historic, and it doesn't happen all the time that you get to see history like that. A couple big stats and a takeaway from me on this game right here as well from Saturday. Rebounding totals, Tennessee had 44, Kentucky had 38. On assists, Tennessee had 22, Kentucky had 17. Steals, 6 for the Vols, 3 for the Cats. Blocks, Kentucky led in that 6-4. Turnovers, Tennessee had 7, Kentucky had 9, and for a final score of 103-92.
Man, couldn't happen to a finer bunch.
It really couldn't, man. You just love going and beating Kentucky, man. There's just something about that game where you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
it feels good, don't it?
It does, man. One thing, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, kind of diving into what the rest of the team did on Saturday as well. Jonas Adu, 11 points and 11 boards, a double-double for the big man right there. Dalton Connect. Where were you, bud? I mean, you're supposed to score 30 points a game. You only get 16. Are you falling off? I mean, I'm starting to wonder what's going on with you. No, I'm kidding. 16
No,
points for Dalton Connect, 5 of 14 from the field, uh, 4 boards, 2 assists, 4 fouls. But man, Kentucky also tried to make Dalton Connect's life a living hell. I mean, they had
they did.
somebody trailing him nonstop. They had their best defender on him, but that Kentucky team don't know how to play any defense, man.
Man, I tell you what, that was. I mean, you can look at the stats right there. One thing though that I want to say from that game the other night, and it doesn't show up on the stat sheet necessarily, but it kind of does, I guess, looking at the points and everything. Tennessee had a sense of urgency the other night, and you could see it from the start.
Well,
Just
you
come
had to.
out. Yeah, you absolutely had to. You didn't want to go 0-2 this week.
Well, Kentucky's, they're thinking that they're about to fall off a cliff right now up there in Lexington. I mean, the world's coming to an end for Big Blue Nation, and Rocky Top were like, okay, South Carolina was just a trap game. It's a team that we don't match up well against. I think that's a team that Tennessee matches up the worst against on the entire schedule all year long,
Right.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's fair.
yeah, but you still were able to persevere against your biggest rival, and that's massive right there. We already touched on Z and Josiah Jordan James, but one guy I do want to talk about as well, man. Santiago Vescovi. In 30 minutes, he got 11 points, 3 of 4. Santi, you do this every single game, and we're going to win a national championship this year.
You
I
think
mean,
about you look at that stat line, dude. That's the difference in the game right there.
it is. I mean, it really is. You think about it that way, but then also, like, think about this, man. Like, look over here on the screen for the viewers on YouTube. Look at this as well. All of your starters were in double figures. You didn't have a single guy off the bench in double figures. You had 2 guys who didn't even score in Estrella and Cam Carr, but you got 26 from 2 different guys. You got
Yeah.
16 from your best player. You got 11 from 2 of your other good starters. I mean, man, the sky is the limit for this team. And one guy I want to talk about too, man. Why haven't we seen Cam Carr all year until Saturday, other than in
I was
blowouts?
wondering. I was wondering that myself. I was like, who is this cat?
Oh man, I have loved this kid since he first committed to Tennessee. He's bouncy. He can play really good defense. He's got a good shot too. I mean, what I loved so much too was that lob play that he had to Josiah after Santi stole the ball. Oh my God, man, you could have
Nasty.
heard you. I mean, like seriously, people were already starting to head towards the exits. I'm kidding. I was in the first half, but people were like, "Oh man, this is bad. This is bad." And I was jumping up and down, punching the air. I was like, "Let's go." But
Oh,
man, Gainey gave some good minutes too. I mean, 5 minutes right there. And one guy I'm gonna get off of his back right here, man. Tobe Awaka played one hell of a game on Saturday.
he did, man. I texted you as soon as he scored. I was like, he's off the milk carton.
He is. He
But dude,
is.
no, it was nice to see him get fired up for a change. He needs to be fired up.
He has to be, man. I mean,
Like,
it's
stop
it's
reading
been
poetry before the game. Let's go. Listen to something angry.
well, man, Jemiah Mashak's mom tweeted this out, and I thought this was pretty funny. But she tweeted out, Tobe's the sweetest person in the whole world, but she said whenever he gets crazy eyed like he did whenever he got that text, she's like, I don't want to be around him. I was like, that's
He
pretty
did.
good right there. The man, and I do want to touch on that with you for just a second right there, too. How in the world does I understand Tobe getting attacked right there? You had the 2 guys for Kentucky who got it. It was Dillingham and correct me on the other guy's name. I
Bradshaw, I
think
think.
yeah, Bradshaw, you're right. But so they both got techs on it. But how does Jordan Gainey get a tech whenever Tobe is pushed in the back? It all started with 0 for Kentucky, starting all of it by pushing him in the back. It's 2 guys
Yeah.
battling for the ball right there. And then this is the only critique I'll have on Kentucky fans right there for the whole night. They're like, oh, that's typical Tennessee bullshit, throwing elbows like that. And I'm like, your guy pushed our guy in the back. That's how you seriously hurt somebody.
Right.
Like, I'm not cool with that. I don't know. You don't play basketball that way, in my opinion.
That's cheap basketball.
It is. It's dirty, and I would not expect any less from a bunch like Kentucky.
Fair enough.
Hey, you know my hatred for them so much. Kind of diving into Kentucky stats, man. Antonio Reeves, 21 points. Great game for the kid. Reed Shepard, 16 points. Great game for him. But man, Rob Dillingham, I'm going to start calling him
Jeez, dude.
Dillingham. Oh my
Right,
God.
dude.
Oh my God.
Kid was unconscious.
Oh my
Just
God.
so as he stepped on the floor, son, he was in range.
I've never seen a player play that hard. Like, that's a freshman. Like, you got to think about it.
Right?
That kid's a true freshman. He's league him.
Yeah,
League him and
yeah.
connect. He does best Dalton Connect impression. I mean, you're looking at what he did right here. 14 of 20 from the field in 27 minutes, 35 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. I mean, just mama. There goes that
Who's that
man.
man?
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's it, buddy.
honestly,
I
man,
mean,
he's the player of the game for the whole damn game, honestly. But we're picking Tennessee only. But
right.
whew, oh my
One
God.
thing though, I want to drop this on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stat about Santi or whatever, but he's the third kid in program history with 313 threes.
Man, and it's what,
Behind
Allen
Chris
Houston and
Lofton.
Chris Lofton?
Yep. So there you go, dude. That's nice to see. And one thing too that I want to point out from that game the other night kind of ties into that sense of urgency comment I made earlier. Every single time Kentucky made a run, we had an answer for it. Tennessee had an answer for it. Tennessee did not have one of those scoring lulls that we've seen all year.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right on that, man. I mean, that's been what's kind of plagued Tennessee in the South Carolina game, for example. Tennessee was unable to get the ball rolling and being able to do what they typically do, and it showed up and bit them in the behind right there, where in this game, every single time Kentucky went on a run, Z would go down and go get an easy layup. Jay would go get an easy 3. I mean, somebody would do something, and it really showed today. I mean, Tennessee played the best game they played all year. Now, reason for concern on this, and maybe it's a thing to be optimistic as well. Tennessee's worst defensive performance of the year by far. You let up 92 points, but you had your best offensive performance of the year. It worries me come tournament time if the shots aren't falling, that maybe the defense doesn't travel. But then here's another thing to think about as well right there. This shows me Tennessee can play anybody's style of basketball in the country.
Yes.
You can speed it up and you can outscore somebody. You can muck it up and slow them down and beat them with defense if you have to. I mean, it's promising what we saw at least.
I think that goes to show you, like, I would lean more towards the latter than the former. I think that you're gonna most games aren't gonna go like this. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have a kid go out and drop 35 unless you're Dalton Connect. Just say it. And play and shoot that well. Like Dillingham did. That was ridiculous. I mean, it got to the point where I was just like, why is Kentucky not giving that boy the ball every time up the court?
He's there, Dalton Connect.
But it was just nice to see the other night. And I actually look at it as a positive because Tennessee did that without Dalton Connect doing Dalton Connect things.
Yeah, he really
16
did, man.
points. I mean, he might have to go on the milk carton.
Man, he might have to today. We'll keep everybody tuned for that one. But, man, let's hear what Rick Barnes had to say about the trip up to Kentucky.
Yesterday, you talked about the importance of getting off to a good start on the road, especially in this building. Talk about your guys being able to come out like they did in that first 10 minutes.
Well, again, the key is, we play fast too, and we told them it's going to be a totally different game than we've been in the last 2 games. We've been in a low possession game, played 2 teams and obviously Kentucky's an extremely fast team that moves with it. We do too, and so we early really tried to concentrate on transition defense because we didn't want them to get out and get going early. But on the other way, we said, hey, we want to do what we do, get down the floor as quickly as we can, and we're open. We want to shoot it, and again, we made shots early, but the great thing about it was coming within what we spend most of our time doing, but it was a mindset with our guys. I think the last 2 days leading up to this, we had some really highly competitive practices, and just really proud of the effort they gave tonight.
Rick, you referenced not having guys sit around and just watch Dalton and do it. Was this important for them to see what they can do still too?
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I don't even know why we got to that point. We haven't been that kind of team, and I mean, obviously he can go do it. And there's some games, and there'll be some other games this year where he'll do some of that. But again, I also think Kentucky did a nice job guarding him, and as the season goes on, he's going to have to deal with that. I thought that John had a great game plan to make him guard as much as he possibly could, and they did a good job getting him into some mismatches that they wanted. And all this is new to him, and as he continues to grow, like he already has, he's got a chance to get so much better. But what I think helps him more than anything is that his teammates, they believe in him. But they also want him to continue to get better, like they want to get better, and he will, because he's a worker.
And that's what Rick Barnes had to say after the game against Kentucky on Saturday. A couple takeaways from that, man. He's been concerned too with why the team waits for Dalton to just be the best player in America night in and night out.
Yeah, and he didn't get that the other night. So good thing the other guys decided to show up.
Yeah. Well, and then, he kind of talked about starting early and often as well in this game. And that's one thing Tennessee did as well, man. I mean, you come down, you score the first 9 points?
Yeah, open it up on an 8-0 run, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't start much better than what Tennessee started the other night, plain and simple.
No, man. Well, Jordan, I'm going to throw this at you today. Who's the player of the game from Saturday night, man?
Oh, buddy. I think we could go back and forth between two. I'm just gonna say Triple J. I want Triple J.
Man,
he earned it. Well, he needed it. That man played like it was the last game he was going to see in Rupp, and it was. So, hats off to Triple J.
I mean, I agree with that, man. But Zakai Ziegler had a career high in points and assists, and only had 2 turnovers, man, with his 13 assists. I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, I don't know. I think they're co-players of the game, honestly.
Yeah, we can let them tag team that one. I'm down.
I think we have to. It's too hard to not do that with either one of the guys. But I think Josiah's points were more important because it gives you more hope for the future.
Right, and we're going to need more from him later on. I think we know what we're going to get from Zakai more often than not, especially on the road. That boy plays phenomenal ball on the road.
He loves being the hated guy in the arena, man.
Embrace the hate.
Ain't that the truth? Well, man, I'm gonna take the milk carton today. And
please do.
Man, I hate to do this. My big orange heart is breaking right here. But Dalton Connect, you're on the milk carton, man. 16 points, bro. That's trash. I'm gonna start putting a BOLO out for you, man. Like, what's going on with Dalton Connect? Actually, guys, just kidding. John Calipari had to skip out on his media availability because he doesn't want to go talk to the media after getting his butt whooped like that against the biggest rival. I mean, come on, man.
Oh, man, I had to pick the most unflattering picture for that.
I love it. Love the picture you picked on it, bud. I just do. Well, man, Tennessee's played a tough schedule up through this point in the year, and I think we all do know that right there. Let's hear what Rick Barnes had to say about Tennessee's schedule this point. And then I got one more point that I think that we want to make before we run to break real quick.
Okay.
You guys went to North Carolina. It seemed like things kind of got away from you early with the crowd just getting into it. How important was it tonight? It seemed like every time the crowd got going, you guys were able to go on a run and answer that.
Well, again, not to take away anything from North Carolina, but after coming back from Maui, those Maui blues can hurt you. And but we fought back in the game. But we've played at Wisconsin this year. We had an exhibition game at Michigan State that was sold out. We played a really difficult schedule. At times, I thought it was. I wondered, did it help us? Did it not? The week off, we were playing pretty good. We came out of the week off and really wasn't very good. But the fact is, the older guys, as I mentioned earlier, they've been in a lot. They've been in this building many times. They've been in this league's got some really great home court advantages in terms of the fans are into it. But I've said many times, playing at home too. Our fans, I think, are the best in the country. But those older guys were the ones that basically got it done. And they've been in big arenas and loud crowds, and I thought they handled themselves well.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
And that's what Rick Barnes had to say about that. I mean, man, kind of talking on that schedule right there too. Tennessee has played one hell of a schedule up to this point in the year.
I mean, really, they have, man. The who of Blue Bloods really has been on the schedule. I mean, look at it. Kentucky, of course, they're there every year. North Carolina, Michigan State, exhibition game, whatever, still there.
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin, Purdue, Kansas. There's not
Syracuse.
Syracuse. I mean, you name it, man. They've been on there, and I think that's a lot of why I think we're reaping the benefits of what we sowed now.
I think so, man. I mean, you're battle tested, and I don't care what anybody says. The SEC is the best conference in America when it comes to every single sport. Football, we own everybody. Basketball, we're on the up and up. I mean, we're if we're not number one, we're number two, and it's probably 1A and 1B between the SEC and the Big 12. Then you got to think about it this way, man. Baseball, there's nobody who can hold a candle to what the SEC does in baseball.
Right.
And it shows. I mean, but you go out there and you play these tough teams year in and year out. You push and you push and you push. And look at where you get, man. I mean, you're able to go to Rupp Arena on the first weekend in February and be able to take a road dub back to Knoxville where you won by 11 points. You scored 100 points for the first time as an SEC team in that arena since 1993.
Wow, dude. I mean, they continue to do impressive things.
They really do, man. And the outlook for this team, man, is just it's so promising right now after what we saw on Saturday. But man, there's one stat I want to toss at you before we run to break real quick. And
Okay.
I think you're really going to find this fun. So this came from Jeff Brazello with ESPN Stats Info. Zakai Ziegler is the first Tennessee player with 25 points and 10 assists in a game in the last 25 seasons. And the second player in the last 25 seasons to put those numbers up at Rupp, joining Phil Pressey. He scored or assisted on 60 out of Tennessee's 103 points.
Wow. That's wild, son. So okay, going by that, he had 13 assists. I would say at least on 60 of 103. So wow. I'm trying to do the math and it's like
I mean, man, there's 53 points he didn't assist or score on.
I will say this. I'm going to follow this up.
43, sorry.
Everything that we've just set up with this. If Tennessee gives that kind of effort every night, come SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, no questions asked, Final Four.
Both of those teams that we saw on Saturday can and probably will be in the race right there towards it.
Yeah. I mean, because here we talked about it with Jay the other night. This is the time of year Kentucky always seems to gel or start gelling. And they look pretty. 9 times out of 10, you put up 92 points, you're winning the game.
Yeah. I mean, you should be. Yeah, you played a team that just had a better offensive night. The only thing that would be concerning for Kentucky for me, man, just if I was a Kentucky fan, you lost to Tennessee, you lost to Florida, you lost to South Carolina, and that's all been within the past week and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 1-3 in your last 4.
Right.
With your only win being to Arkansas, and that was a struggle win by 6 points. So just going to toss that out there, man. I mean, like I said, I don't really care about Kentucky. I don't care. Send them back to the coal mines. I don't care. But it is what it is. But, man, let's jump to break real quick. How do you feel about that? Then let's jump back in and do some more work on some SEC stuff.
That sounds good to me, dude. Let's
do it.
If you're looking for the perfect Smoky Mountain vacation, Mountain Romance is your cozy romantic getaway. Starting at $129 per night, you get 2 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and this beautiful cabin will sleep up to 6 people. With an amazing mountain view, fire pit, pool table, and hot tub, this place has it all and is located within minutes of downtown Gatlinburg. To inquire, go to Airbnb and search for Mountain Romance or email bearslair2021@gmail.com. This next segment is brought to you by Three Kings of Cardboard, the go-to spot to upgrade your sports memorabilia collection. Check out their Facebook group and eBay at Three Kings of Cardboard. I have dealt with them personally and will not deal with anybody else. My favorite item from them is my Jalen Wright one Bowman U Superfactor that they have pulled me. Check out our friends at Three Kings of Cardboard today. And we're back for a trip around the SEC. You ready for it?
Let's do it. So I have grouped these games into a couple of different categories, man. SEC scores that don't really matter and ones of interest. Being Tennessee fans, I think we all kind of know which ones are important at this point in the year and which ones are not. Wouldn't you say that's a pretty fair statement right there, Jordan?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We know what we got to do. We know where we're at, and we'll dive into that here in a bit too. But yeah, we know what we need. We know who we need to follow at this point in time.
Yeah. So a couple games that I just think don't really matter to anybody. Arkansas is horrible this year. They lost to LSU 95-74. Just horrible showing from the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas now falls to 2-7 in the conference, where LSU is able to move up to 4-4.
So they're 500 coming to Knoxville Wednesday night.
Yeah, we're gonna be there, brother.
We are, buddy. We are with
bells
on.
One. We're going to be there with bells on, man. Whenever people say that, man, it reminds me of Breaking Bad. You remember whenever Walter first moved out of the house and he's going to go pick up Walter Jr. for school, and he's like, I'll be there with bells on. Walter Jr. is like, what? Why are you going to be wearing bells, Dad? It's like, it's just an expression, son. Just love that show. Best show ever, man.
It's up there for me. It's up there for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Maybe we're going to toss that in on Start Bench Cut later today. I've got that in my mind right now.
Let's do it.
Next score that doesn't really matter. Vanderbilt finally got their first conference win of the year over the still winless Missouri Tigers. So literally the two bottom teams in the SEC. Mizzou is sitting at 0-9 in conference, where Vanderbilt is sitting at 1-7. Man, think about this with Mizzou as well. They are 8 games behind first place.
They done. Poke them with a fork.
That was such a good team last year too. I mean, they gave us fits.
They did, and they beat us.
They beat us twice. They beat us twice. They beat us in Nashville at the tournament.
Yeah,
I mean,
I will say this.
I'm glad they're going through it
this year. Safe to call those two on that slide stellar dwellers.
I think so too, man. I mean, honestly, I think you could put that with any team on here that's not Texas A&M.
Or
right
Florida.
Here.
I think Florida is a little bit. If Florida can start gelling just a little bit, they've got. I think they've got the offense to make a run.
Florida, man, I think that they're going to be a problem in about another year and a half. I think it's going to take about that long for Todd Golden to really get it going over there. But the Aggies were victorious in that game on Saturday. Final score 67-66. I did not get to watch that game. Spoiler alert. Grant was driving to Kentucky all day on Saturday. So Grant didn't really get to watch a whole lot of college basketball, but I was trying to keep up with the score on this one, and it seemed like it was pretty close for the most part, man. But then let's move into the games that really matter for Tennessee's race to the SEC. First place in the conference, Alabama Crimson Tide, 99-67 over Mississippi State.
Man. Bama's starting to hit their stride a little bit.
We got to play them again too, man. But I'm ready for that one.
That'll be another barn burner, bud.
I think. Well, our defense messed with what Alabama wanted to do.
Right.
It really kind of just put things in a different perspective. But 99-67 on that. And one thing too, man. So that was on while Tennessee was playing, and I was checking my phone inside of the arena. Kept on looking at it. 3 minutes into the second half, Alabama was up by 30.
I seen that. That blew my mind, dude.
I don't know how
they
that
must
happens.
They must have had just a hell of a shooting half that first half.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama was up 23 points in the first half.
Yeah. They've had to just be lights out, man.
They're clicking on all cylinders right now, man. Next score of interest, Auburn took care of Ole Miss pretty handily, 91-77. Not a whole lot to talk about right there. Auburn is in a share of second place in the conference. And the team that is going to be the bane of Tennessee's existence this year is South Carolina. 10-point dub over the Bulldogs from Georgia, 72-67. South Carolina is in a share of second place in the SEC with an SEC record of 7-2. one game behind first place with Alabama. Whenever those rankings come out today, here probably in about an hour, maybe they may even be out by now, honestly. And if they are, we'll break them down on the show. I'll look and see if I can find them before we get off today. But rank them not just 25.
They need to be in the top 20, easy. Maybe they should be around 18, I think. 18, 17. I don't think there's that many teams better than them, by no means. But I think they've proven themselves now to where we know, and anybody that follows college basketball close enough knows they're good enough to be ranked. Now, show us why you're good enough to be ranked. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's a really good point right there, man. Honestly, hot take right here, steaming hot take. They're not 10 teams better in America than South Carolina right now.
Ooh, you know, it's hard to argue that, though, man.
Look at their
Hard to
resume,
argue
though.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one whenever the Vols make the return trip back down to South Carolina, though. And then, just for fun right here, Tennessee is highlighted on this graphic for the viewers on YouTube, but everybody else, that's the standings in the SEC. So you got Alabama at 1, Carolina and Auburn are sitting at 2 tied. Tennessee's a half game back because of the stupid bye that the SEC is trying to do this year for some reason.
So technically, for viewers, we're only a game back, not a game and a half back.
It's a game and a half technically because you still have Alabama's not had their bye yet.
That's what I'm saying. We've only we're a game back technically because we've played one less.
Yeah.
Else.
Well, and everybody is having a bye this year in the SEC, so I think that will help out. But I think it's stupid. Get rid of it. We don't want it. It messes you up in basketball more having the bye, I think.
It does.
But that is your full SEC standings right there, and this has been brought to you by our friends at Three Kings of Cardboard. Make sure you guys check them out for your sports memorabilia collection and give them some love. But Jordan,
yes,
man, you want to talk some Tigers?
Let's do it, man. Before we dive into that, though,
okay,
that stat that I sent you earlier today, or not stat, but the next 6 games, all against teams with losing records: Arkansas, LSU, A&M twice, Vanderbilt, and
I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, Missouri. So you've got a lot of games against some teams that are not good at all.
Games that can potentially knock you out of being, if you were say we were to go 4-2 during in that stretch.
Well, you're out of the SEC race at that point.
That, and you're potentially looking at losing your 2 seed in the NCAA.
Well, but also this is the time right here where you buckle down and you really push on things and you say, hey, Tennessee has got an easier schedule coming up. I mean, Arkansas is 500, Missouri's below 500, A&M is 13-8 right now at the time of this recording. LSU's 12-9. This is a time where you really solidify and you go on a 6-game win streak. Well, it'd be an 8-game win streak after you go back to no, it'd be a 7-game win streak after you go back to Kentucky. But so you think about it, man. You build on that win streak, you have all that right there, and then you're able to push on things and get it how you want it to be. You can solidify yourself as a number 1 seed with this next stretch because you don't have a tough game until you play Auburn again.
Right. If you can go out and beat these teams the way you're supposed to beat them, and prove that, hey, Tennessee is as good as we've played, in games against Kentucky, people like that. That's how you do it. Right there.
You ain't wrong on that, man. Well, Tiger time. So I put this together once again for the YouTube viewers. Guys, if you're listening to the audio, jump on over to YouTube. At least see what we're doing over here today, because this is going to start to be the new normal. But the Vols are 16-5 on the season, currently 6-2 in SEC play, and in a share of 3rd place in the SEC, where the Tigers are 12-9, 4-4 in SEC, and currently in 5th place in the SEC. LSU head coach Matt Mahan is in his second season with the Tigers, where he was formerly at Murray State, where he coached my boy Ja Morant. So shout out to Ja. Hopefully he's healthy and doing some gritties on the floor again for us soon in the 901.
Come on the show with us.
Yeah, Ja, come on the show, man. Break down some hoops.
Just leave your
with
piece at
us.
home.
Yeah. Ja, you're at home. Come join the boys. That's all I'm going to say. But one thing about Matt Mahan, man, that I kind of found to be interesting is he was born in Oak Ridge.
That's cool. That's pretty cool, actually.
Homecoming for the kid, man. So I think that's kind of fun right there.
Coming back to the ridge with a loss, though, and going home.
Yeah, L's down. I'm going to do that maybe. I don't know which way it is supposed to be, but we're going to do it that way. L's down this time. Not horns down. Can't do that again. I don't want to get blasted again, man. But the series was first played in 1933, man, and the Vols hold the all-time record of it being 67-50, 34-18 all-time in Knoxville. ESPN Matchup Predictor is giving Tennessee a 93.1% chance to win the game at the time of this recording. And then we got just a lot of different stats between the two teams down here as well. So you've got LSU scoring 77.5 points per game. They're allowing 72.2, shooting 45.8% from the field, 36 boards per game, 12.5 assists per game, 4 blocks per game, and 9 steals per game. And they're on a 1-game win streak. Tennessee is averaging almost 80 points per game, 67.1 points allowed per game, 44.8% from the field, 39 rebounds per game, 17 assists per game, almost 5 blocks per game, and almost 8 steals per game, and is also on a 1-game win streak.
So what you're telling me here is scoring-wise, LSU can score the ball decently, but in SEC play, they're only scoring 67.5.
Yeah.
And giving up 77.3. So, man, I don't know. This is one of those games, though, it kind of worries me because it seems like LSU is one of those teams that can sneak up and get us.
It could be a trap game where you're looking ahead to A&M, who is a better team. But at the same time, man, I really don't think Tennessee's going to have any issues in this game.
I mean, I don't either. I hope not, because we're going to both be there.
Yeah. If not, man, woo-wee, it's going to be bad. I'm going to be upset. But, kind of moving on to this, the Vols are 4-1 in the last 5, where the Tigers are 2-3 in the last 5. The Tigers have lost to Alabama, Georgia, and Texas A&M during that time. One common opponent that I see that both teams won against was Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss by 9 points, where Tennessee beat them by, seemed like damn near 90 points.
Drubbed them.
Yeah.
Looking at those losses, though, Georgia and A&M, both of those were close games. Could have went either way. They could be 4-1 right now and the last 5 if the ball bounces a different way.
Very well could be, man. I mean,
the
games are close.
5-0,
Yeah, games are close for LSU with the exception of that Alabama game. Tennessee should have beat South Carolina. I mean, man, and this is one thing I am going to touch on right here too. How in the hell does Tennessee score 103 at Kentucky, but only scores 59 at home against South Carolina? I mean, come on.
Right?
Like,
it just almost doubled them up. You know what I'm saying?
Such a bad matchup. It's such a bad matchup for Tennessee in that game.
I think when we get back to that game later on in the year, I think that's going to be one where we try to run it up and down.
I think so too. I don't think that this is going to be that. And then, man, Jordan Wright seems to really just be the guy for the Tigers. He leads in points per game, assists per game, and rebounds per game as a guard. Jordan Wright is averaging 15.5 points per game on 40% shooting from the field and 80% from the line. He's averaging 5.2 rebounds per game, with 4 of those being defensive, 1.2 being offensive. And then he's averaging 2.8 assists per game with almost 2 turnovers per game, so not really that good. And he's getting 31 minutes a game, man. I mean,
the boy must be tired. I bet his back hurts too from carrying.
I was going to say his back hurts from carrying the whole damn team right there, man.
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of crazy to me that he has all that right there. But man, I think this is going to be a fun one. The spread is not out yet for this one, but there are still limited tickets available to this game at the Food City Center. Spoiler alert, guys. This is the last one with remaining tickets out there where you don't have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for tickets.
Yes.
Go
Yes.
watch this team. It is a special team. Like, I cannot drive that home enough with people. And like one thing, man, and I want to talk on this with you for just a second right here.
Okay.
Why are people not buying into this basketball team as much as they did with the Grant Admiral team back in 18 and 19?
I think, and for me too, this is part of it. I'm bought in on them. I want them to do what we talk about, and I think they're very capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the idea of getting their hopes up and then getting let down by an early exit, because all it takes, man, is a matchup in that first round against a team like South Carolina, or a team that plays a similar style of ball that can muck it up and make us play down to them and play their game. Kind of like what we did last year at times. Make them get physical, make them play that. And what I'm getting at, I think that's what it is. I think they're afraid of getting their hopes up. And I'm ready to hurt again, though.
I agree, man. But it's kind of like what you said. You know, it's that meme where it's like, no questions asked, I'm ready to be hurt again. Like,
yes.
I just think this team is so much different than any team that Rick Barnes has ever had in Knoxville, man.
I
think this team could beat the Grant and Admiral team in 18-19, honestly, because there's more defense on this team. And I mean, I love Jordan Bone, but I think Zakai Ziegler is a better point guard. Dalton Connect is a better scorer than anybody on that team. You know, your matchup right there would be one between Adu and Kyle Alexander, I think.
Right. I think, and I want to say this too, not that it wasn't with that team, but I think the will to do what you've got to do with this team to win is a little bit higher than maybe with that team. Because they've had,
I agree with you on that.
They've got, Connect. But then again, I say that, and earlier in the show, we're talking about everybody waiting around for Dalton to do Dalton things. That team didn't really ever wait around for anybody. They just went out and played ball. You know what I mean?
Well, you had Grant and Admiral who could get you points whenever you needed them. But Dalton Connect is a better scorer. So
right.
I don't know, man. I think that would be fun. I think that maybe at the end of maybe in the summertime, man, when we got a lot of dead time, maybe we'll do an episode kind of breaking those two teams down against each other, because that's the best two teams we've had in the past 20 years. I mean,
yeah, easily.
Realistically on that. But man, SBC. Start bench cut. Let's do it, man. So we'll close out the show on this today. Man, so I'm wearing my number 5 jersey today on here. This one just seems to have good luck when we play Kentucky. I don't know what it is. Every time I've worn this jersey and we've played Kentucky, we've always won. It's too damn big. Looks like a dress on me, but I ain't ever taking it off whenever the Vols play the Cats. I don't care if I live to 105. This jersey will be on every time Tennessee plays Kentucky.
Burying you in it.
Yeah, you're going to bury me in this thing, honestly. But, man, there's been a lot of good players to wear the number 5 jersey at the University of Tennessee.
Okay.
Start bench cut, best player to wear number 5, not named Chris Lofton. Ooh. Admiral Schofield, Zakai Ziegler, or Jarnell Stokes?
Starting Zakai, benching Admiral, cutting Jarnell, buddy.
It's hard to cut Jarnell on that, man, but I agree with you on it. But I am going to start Schofield.
Of course.
Hey, you know I love Admiral Schofield.
You could start either one of those and have a good argument for doing so.
Yeah, so if we're going best player to wear number 5, it's probably Z. That's not Chris. The most loved player for me. I mean, man, that's so hard to put those two against each other, though. But I'm going to start Admiral Schofield 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. So, man, me going up to Rupp Arena on Saturday kind of got the wheels turning a little bit on this one. With that being a historic venue in college basketball.
Sure.
Start bench cut. Which historic venue would you like to go to the most? Cameron Indoor at Duke, the Dean Dome at North Carolina, or Fog Allen Fieldhouse at Kansas?
Well, seeing as how I have a soft spot for the Dukies, I'm going start Cameron, bench Fog Allen, cut the Dean Dome.
Ooh, man, I like that right there. But, man, I'm going to start Fog Allen. Just the history that Kansas has with basketball is unparalleled to anybody else in the country. And the reason why I say that, Dr. Naismith was a coach there. I
Yep.
mean, he invented the game. Like, I want to go do that. And also, man, there's this cool documentary on ESPN. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I challenge you to go watch it. It's something about the original rules of basketball. That there's a guy who's a Kansas fan, and he goes and he finds the original rules and gets them put in this huge frame, and it's in the center at Fog Allen. So it's the original rules that Dr. Naismith wrote out by hand. So
Ooh, that's cool.
I just would love to see that being a hoops junkie. I'm going to bench Cameron Indoor. Soft spot for Duke as well. But man, it's kind of hard to cut the Dean Dome as well. I mean, just 3 massive historic venues in college basketball right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say this: I've never been to Fog Allen, never been to Dean Dome. I've been in Cameron Indoor. I've not watched a game there because I'll just be honest with you, I'm not paying $4,000 for a ticket because the place only seats like 10 to 12,000, and
If that
12 is
even.
pushing. 12's
Yeah.
pushing it. But just if you ever make it over to the Raleigh Durham area, go by there and check it out because they've got a cool setup. I've got pictures. I'll have to find it and send them to you. But
Yeah, you
that
need
campus
to,
is
man.
beautiful. It's beautiful. That place in there is cool. It's all like old Gothic buildings and design and stuff. It's cool. It's cool.
That
So
is a cool one right there.
that would be me. So
Yeah. No, I get that, man. And then I've got one thing for you right here, and then you can kind of spin this around on me if you want to a different way. But which visiting fan base has been the nicest that you've encountered at Thompson Bowling Arena? Start bench
Ooh.
cut, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, or Memphis?
ooh. I'm gonna let you take this one because you go a lot more than I do.
Yeah,
So
and
you hit me with this one.
So I'm going to change up how I answer this one because I've been to all 3 of these venues, 4 games. Man, I'm going to start Kentucky. They were the nicest people I have ever been around at an opposing sporting event. Like, it was funny, man. The guy who was sitting behind us, he was like grabbing my shoulders and like jumping up and down, and he was like going to the beer line, and he went and he bought us some beers, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's
But
cool.
then he told his wife, he said, "You don't let this MFer right here go. You don't let him leave without me right here." And he was like pointing at me the whole time. So just great experience there. Man, I'm going to bench Vandy fans because they don't exist. I mean, let's just call it what it is. The Whistler is annoying as shit. I mean, they don't have fans out here in Nashville. And then, man, I'm going to cut Memphis because they hate Tennessee more than anybody else. And you know what? Right back at y'all. Y'all are little brother in your own state. I mean, it says Tennessee across the jersey for a reason. Like, it doesn't say Memphis. It's not,
Tiger High.
Yeah, Tiger High, man. I mean, I just love the city, but your college basketball team sucks and your fans suck. Jordan, give me your 3.
All right, man. I'm gonna go from I know you said Thompson Bowling, but I'm gonna go because I've been to a lot more football games than I have basketball.
Okay.
From a football standpoint, I'm gonna start. Honestly, I'm gonna start Kentucky. Because like you say, they were cordial to you. I've never honestly met a hateful Kentucky fan. I've seen a few, but I'm gonna bench Vandy, like you say. All 2. There's like 2 of them, and they don't care. Memphis, I got 2 words for you. You suck. There you go. Start bench cut right there.
There we go, man. There we go. Dude, this has been a fun one today.
This has, dude. I've been looking forward to doing it since Saturday night and the scoreboard hit 0, man. So looking forward
the rest
to
of
it,
the listeners have been looking for that as well. Guys, like, rate, subscribe, please. It helps us out more than you guys could ever know.
Absolutely.
So please just, continue to hit that right there. And I guess we will be seeing you guys probably on Thursday. We've got some special stuff in the works for you guys this week. So
Yes,
make sure y'all stay tuned on the socials, and we will be seeing you guys shortly. But as always, go Vols.
Go Vols.
This episode of the Ballin' Out podcast has been brought to you by our friends at Peace of Mind Enterprises. From construction, home remodel, down to general handyman services, Peace of Mind has you covered.
All technicians are licensed and insured, servicing East Tennessee with 30-plus years of experience. Call 865-202-7167 for a free estimate, because nothing beats having peace of mind.